Hey everyone, it's Matt here with Night Run Studio. Now, I like to pretend the graphics aren't everything, but let's be honest, there's nothing quite like a visual upgrade to suddenly make a game feel alive. So, when I started planning out my next few development sprints for Willard, I decided to call patch 10 my Bring It to Life patch. There's no shortage of people who will tell you it's a waste of time to add polish early when you're developing, and I get that logic. But as a solo dev, sometimes we just need to indulge a little because, well, it's important to believe our project could actually become a game at some point, and making our games look great is one way to do that. So in this devlog, I just want to show 5 little visual tweaks I've added that are helping bring the world of Willard to life. My first change was upgrading my weapon visuals. Now I've always had my villagers show the weapon they're using when attacking, but in patch 10 I added an extra layer into this. Now, each villager has multiple weapon slots, so my code checks both whether a villager has a weapon equipped and which one is actually in use. It's just a little touch, but there's something really nice about watching them walk around with their bow slung across their back while the axe is equipped, and then swapping when they move into long distance range. It's a small detail, but it's the kind of thing that makes the world feel more consistent. Along the same lines, I recently posted a short showing off some new lighting features, and I got some feedback about Willard's armed pose. The comment pointed out that it was a little jarring how he leapt into the idle pose from his moving, and the comment was right. When I looked a little closer, I realized Willard has a magical sword that randomly defies physics as it teleports from his back to his hand and back again, depending upon his current state. This was not intentional. This fix took a little doing, as it meant animating weapons for every pose, both sheathed and unsheathed, but it was so worth it. Now a single button press can sheath or unsheath a weapon. There's a short drawing animation, and Willard actually plays the logical animation to match whatever state he's in. And that one came straight from a comment, so yeah, I really do read them. Now, I usually do all of my animation work in Photoshop, but the other day I was sitting in on an animation class at the high school where I teach and was watching my students work in Sprite. I decided to sit down with them and try it out, and this is what I walked away with from that class. He's a not-so-bright little flightless bird who panics whenever he senses a threat. That said, I didn't want to write all new code every time I try to build out my world by adding critters, so I tapped this into the same state machine as my enemies and villagers. This little dude has movement code and idle state. He's got an action state where he pecks at the ground for food, and then his flee state, not unlike my scaredy cat villagers. He's also programmed to detect rock walls and cliff edges, so no, you can't just scare him and make him run blindly off a cliff, though I did consider it. And honestly, the real win here isn't the bird, it's the system. Now when I animate my next critter, I can pretty much reuse all of this code, which makes adding life to the world a whole lot easier going forward. I added seasons to Willard a while back, creating a custom editor tool that lets me toggle seasons with a button press. This changes weather, swaps out tile sets, and changes the background color palettes. In patch 10, I took this a little further by adding custom grass sprites for each season, as well as taking these rock objects and creating 4 seasonal variations. This doesn't make the world more interactive, but the subtle change with each season keeps the levels visually interesting. It gives you a reason to revisit regions at different times of the year, even if it's just to take in the view. Sometimes that's enough. I love motion in the world, and I especially love when the player has the ability to change the appearance of his surroundings. For a while now, I've had the anima beacon as an important but mysterious part of Archaea. As I started building out platforming areas around the village, I quickly recognized the need for checkpoints. The anima beacon made sense to use here, but it didn't quite fit with the lore. Although checkpoints serve a similar function, there can't be that many beacons, so I decided to create some anima checkpoints. As I started looking up reference art, I wanted to stick with a slightly steampunk aesthetic that blends the fantasy and 80s tech elements of my world. I borrowed some elements straight from the beacon, but realized I wasn't actually totally happy with the beacon to begin with. I liked the tubes and motion of its animation, but it all looked a little too cartoony. I wanted it more steampunk, also more grounded in the 80s. So I added these little gear-like objects as well as what looks like an old Apple computer controlling the whole thing. Not unlike real life. This time around, I also chose not to rig the animation. Instead of creating the parts and animating them smoothly in Unity, I built each animated step in Photoshop and then linked the frames. The result is something that looks a little less smooth and a little more like something that belongs on the Super Nintendo. I added some lighting so the screen has a nice green glow, much like the computer labs of my youth. And now Willard mysteriously brings them to life simply by proximity. another mystery. I like the new checkpoints so much that I decided to reimagine the beacon in the same style. More gears, a monitor, lights, less smooth animation. The new version feels more alive, more 80s, and frankly more beautiful. Next was a move that's hardly inventive, but hugely nostalgic for me. I remember playing A Link to the Past and later Secret of Mana, spending way more time than I should have just running around cutting the grass. So I had to add it. I know that loads of games do this today, and it's no amazing feature, but I just had to add the ability to chop grass. Each grass object has multiple colliders too, so depending on the length of your attack, some grass can be left standing after a single swipe, making it feel even more reactive. And I also spent much too long making sure that no matter how cut or whole it is, it still renders correctly in every season. Was it worth it? Yes. Probably. Part of the early platforming introduction in Willard takes you into a cave area where you learn climbing, wall jumping, and cliff grabbing. And visually, it always fell a little flat. So I treated this as a chance to experiment some more with Unity's lighting system. Please note, nothing you see here is final. I wanted to recreate the feeling of blindness you get when moving from a bright lit space into a dark cavern. So I added a really powerful spotlight that shines powerfully at entrances, making it almost impossible to see what's outside. Inside, a small blue tinted light allows you to see directly around your location. I love how the light from the anima checkpoint takes center stage here, and then you're off into the caverns. Here the lighting is intentionally dim, making the player move slowly and carefully. Added some parallax in the background to suggest hidden depths to the cavern, as well as some places where the camera moves to give you a better view of where you're going next. All the while, a blinding bright light calls you toward it from outside. As you approach the cave mouth, it almost blinds you, then fades away as you leave, allowing you to see the area outside. When you re-enter, that blinding light comes back again, forcing your eyes to adjust all over again. Right now, I still allow the player to glimpse the exterior light while exploring. Not totally sold on it, but I do think it creates a nice contrast and a more interesting way to obscure what's beyond, without just turning everything black like most games. I know I'm going to get comments telling me to do exactly that, and I might, but for now I'm experimenting. And that does it for patch 10. Like I said, they're all small changes, but together they are the difference between something that works and something that actually starts to feel alive. With each new patch, Willard is feeling more and more like a game people might actually want to play, and honestly, a big part of that is the feedback along the way, so if you've got thoughts, leave them. Just gently. I've got enough grass to animate as it is. Anyway, I should get back to work, so until next time, this is Matt with Night Run Studio. Cheers.